That last vlog was my least favorite vlog of all time. I really didn't like it. Because I just didn't trust. I didn't have faith. I felt like I had to pre-plan and pre-script things. And I did. I pre-scripted everything. And I just didn't like it. So let's see how it goes today when I have no clue what I'm doing. Okay, so what should I record? That's a problem now. I don't have any script, and I don't know what I should be saying. Maybe I should refer to a Rupert Spira Substack article. That always works. And his last one, actually, it's probably appropriate. It's called The Pathless Path. And I think that's something I need to get used to, of not always trying to manipulate my way toward a certain goal and to control outcomes, for it to be more effortless. The Pathless Path is about not putting in an effort, not trying to get anywhere, not trying to achieve anything, and to just realize that we are what we naturally are, and that's enough. To just realize that what we want to become is already who we are, our true nature. It's just hard to trust in that and to realize that everything is working out as it should be. To have faith in those universal forces, the diamond, as I talked about in my previous vlogs. But again, it's something I need to get used to. He writes, "The pathless path is the apparent journey you take from the person you seem to be to that which you truly are. In fact, there is no distance between the person you seem to be and that which you truly are, and therefore no room for a path, a practice, or an effort." That's the place I need to get to. Or no place to get to, actually. That's not the place I need to get to. Look at that. That's pretty cool. This is the angle I should have had earlier. Ah, there we go. Me trying to manipulate and control things again. There's no room for regret, right? Like I talked about in my last video. I would have done exactly as I had done if I were able to repeat it over and over again a million times. But at least I can learn from that mistake now and shoot from this angle going forward. There we go. How's that? All right, let's pull up this article, The Pathless Path. The expression, the pathless path, points to something both simple and radical. It suggests a movement without distance, a discovery without acquisition, a return without departure. What you seek is already fully present, whole and complete, as your very own being. And of course, what we always and already essentially are is that true being. Who we really are is that pure consciousness. We can all get that conceptually, and yet living as dissociated consciousnesses, individual minds from the one large universal mind, we still try to do things as these apparently separate individuals. And so that's a discord that I'm having now in my spiritual practice, one in which I have to balance and reconcile my ambitions with my spiritual goals. Again, there's the word goals. It's really hard to get around a spiritual practice in which you don't try for anything, or anything for that matter, in which you're not doing things for the sake of achieving something beyond where you are already, to achieve something that you don't already have. I mean, that's the whole point of any action, isn't it? Again, this is hard for me to reconcile, so I'm just gonna blabber through this. And I'm gonna try to do it honestly and spontaneously, because that's the problem I had with my last vlog. I really hated it. It was my least favorite one because it was completely not what I was intending to do. I'm trying to do these more spontaneously now, off the cuff. When it came to that one about free will, there was a lot I wanted to cover there. And I'm very passionate about these matters and about this philosophy. Do we still see it? Yeah. So here we go. I'm doing this completely the opposite of what I did last time and just rambling on with a little bit of guidance from Rupert here. Rupert writes,
All that is necessary is to discern what you always and already essentially are. It is not necessary to acquire, achieve, or attain anything new. You are not the thoughts, images, feelings, memories, activities, and relationships that are continually appearing, changing, and disappearing. You are essentially the simple fact of being, or being aware, which lies at the very core of yourself and remains unchanged, untouched throughout all experience. But I still question if we can really live and act in this world from that perspective. This essential fact of being aware may be true, but we don't normally identify with this pure awareness. It's hard to identify with an amorphous, empty, and open space of awareness. Even if I can discern that is what I am fundamentally, I'm also obviously limited and separate at a more superficial level in this human form. The knowledge of my essence doesn't have the impact he professes. However, it could be that I still don't really know what I essentially am, that I'm still caught up in the illusion of appearing to be a separate individual. But can any living being get over this apparent reality?
It may be an apparent reality, it may be an apparent separation, this idea of a separate self, but it is what we are as these individuals. This illusion is something, it exists as such. And that's the game we play. This is the life we live. Maybe we can take that alternate perspective and realize who we really are when things get too tough. And when living this separate self, this life of a separate self, becomes too much for us to handle. And there's struggle and suffering, which is a part of a lot of what we experience. But then again, that also gets us to be driven toward improvement.
Lack gets us to act. If we were completely content with how things are, if we were always fulfilled with where we are, would we be motivated to embark on any journey, to take any path? Would we even have a will to live? As Bernardo Kastrup alluded to, maybe one of the best examples of enlightenment is the Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Quang Duc, who immolated himself. He seemed to be completely serene and detached as he burned to death. He didn't seem to identify with his living body as a separate individual. He instead was able to sacrifice it for a greater good, to protest the persecution of Buddhists by South Vietnam's government. But if we all had such disregard for living in these bodily forms, the human species would quickly end. According to Bernardo, our living, metabolizing bodies are the extrinsic appearance of an intrinsic separation, the dissociation of our individual minds from the one universal mind. Death is the end of this dissociation, and we all get there eventually. So maybe we should just accept all the suffering and struggle that comes along with this temporary and limited process we call life. In the Pathless Path article, Rupert refers to the identification with living as a separate body and mind as the ego. He writes, "The ego is the association of oneself, pure being, or simple awareness, with something, anything, a body, an ideology, a teacher, a tradition, a role, a person. It is the identification of what you essentially are with what you are not." And that may be true, but a sense of ego still serves us as individuals, even if we're just apparent individuals. And while an inflated ego may be unhealthy and cause unnecessary suffering, we still need it to live in this world, illusory or not. And maybe the best we can do, and all we should strive for, is to diminish the ego as much as we can through spiritual practice.
On the pathless path, the ego is gradually or occasionally suddenly stripped of all its associations and stands revealed as it truly is. King Lear is divested of everything that characterizes him as King Lear and stands revealed as John Smith. For King Lear, this may feel like a death. Yet King Lear does not actually die, or he never existed in his own right. He was a role, a set of attributes, a costume worn for a time. This is Rupert's famous King Lear, John Smith analogy. But this is a little bit faulty, this metaphor, in that the role, the character of King Lear, the actor John Smith, he can realize that he's playing this role and fall back on the fact of being John Smith, not King Lear. That's easy for us to understand because it's a tangible example that's not really true as a metaphor to what's really going on, because John Smith as an actor is still someone. He's still a person with a life. And now in this case, the reason why this metaphor is used, King Lear has all this strife, right, in the play. And to fall back on realizing that he's only John Smith, he can let go of all that strife. But again, King Lear has a life, and it's a more peaceful life. But in relation to what's really going on, what this metaphor is pointing to, what we ultimately are, the John Smith of all of us, is this kind of ambiguous, formless reality, this pure consciousness, this universal consciousness. But what is that? That's not tangible like John Smith is. That is not a life. That is not living. That is nothing. No thing, and yet everything. But in practice, what does that mean? What does that really mean? To be everything and yet nothing. That is nothing that we can conceptualize, nothing we can work with, that's nothing we can't do anything with that. Hence the pathless path, maybe. Not trying to do anything, not trying to put in an effort. This one I'm gonna struggle with for a while, guys. So to just end this now, whatever this is, whatever this vlog happens to be today, I'm gonna end it with giving Rupert the final word, the end of his article, where he writes, "So, in the pathless path, we simply abide in being, as being. This abiding in being, or abiding as being, is not something that needs to be limited to any formal period of so-called meditation." And that's perfectly fine. I really don't meditate anymore these days, so I'm on board with this. It can be your natural disposition throughout the day. It can infuse ordinary activities, conversation, work, and rest, so that being knowingly yourself becomes the background of all experience. That would be nice. What about adding vlogging to that? I still don't know if it can be my natural disposition. Although, I'm working toward it. I shouldn't be working toward it. This one's gonna take a while for me, on whatever path I'm on. How do you open this? Yeah.
It's just this one.
I'm sorry? Oh, I can only go through that way? I feel stupid.